So basically this field was a canvas, you know, to do art on or whatever. Every hunter you give this field to is gonna lay it out differently. There's no right or wrong way of doing it, but all these strategies, corn and, you know, clovers and grasses and miscanthus and box blinds, it's just paint to make a piece of art with.
Oh yeah.
Most of the best farms, they don't ever hit the market. A lot of our farms sell prior to ever being on the market. We have a pre-market buyer list, and that gives you the ability to put your email in there and follow along as we get projects underway. We'll blast out there, you know, the first email you might see is, we got this 80 coming available in Southeast Iowa, and a lot of people already are looking in an area, and it gives you that ability to get in on something before it actually hits the market and gets gone.
So not exactly what I had in mind to get in here, but trying to mitigate leaving our scent on these mowed paths because they're not likely to be out in here. So we're cutting through it. But I got a mowed path right up here. But I do feel like this is helping to, you know, catch. I didn't go all the way around the south end because I wanted to cut through here to let some of our scent get hung up in here. Really shouldn't be any deer here because of this fence. It's a big U. We know it's over the top. We know that. We've established that. Feels good to knock an arrow. We are 2 days prior to the full moon, rising an hour and a half before dark, so we'll try and show that. And we have a long drawn out Magic X day. It's happened over the course of the last day and a half. Yesterday the pressure kind of stalled out and it was not near as cold or dry feeling the air. It got back on the move, and right now, you know, that pressure is, I think 30.2 is like a magic number, and right now that pressure is like 30.32 and rising still. You know, coupled with that moon is super powerful. So it's the first sit here on the fully developed farm. Like I've been talking about, I've had a couple deer, you know, shooter mature deer that have been tiptoeing around this place. I've had pictures throughout the summer. A couple weeks ago I had one picture of this typical, one set of pictures of this typical on a scrape as he was passing through. And then verified from my buddy that he was back up in his summer range here that same morning or night. So anyway, last night, anticipating change in mindset of this cold front really ramping these deer up into territory marking crews and wanting to be around other deer to show dominance, coupled with the fact that they harvested all the beans in his summer core to the north. You know, a couple powerful reasons to get him down here, and sure enough, last night, as this front has rolled in, he showed up here and was literally on every single camera that we have out on this place. It was kind of unbelievable, actually. I mean, he was just all over in here, scoping things out, and verified he put his head down in the corn / overseeded winter wheat. So we got all the makings to see this deer tonight, and we got our fingers crossed. It's middle of October, perfect weather, perfect moon, validation that he has shifted in here, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think he'll be around, so hopefully we will see him tonight and see some of this strategy come together and put him in bow range. There's the deer coming out down there. 3 of them. thing. You're moving early, huh? $59.2. Oh, that's the kicker. There's 2 bucks down there, dude. That's a kicker flyer deer. He's cool. That's cool, man. He's early. You see him? Yeah. It's pretty cool. That deer could be friggin' big next year. Wow, this is a good night, man. 5:16. We still got like a long time to go. And we got old kickstand out there. He's looking. Come on, big boy. I mean, that's a nice deer. That's freaking. I think he's lurking back there, to be honest with you. Early, man. Said there's no better feeling than a shooter in the green and mowed corn on this side of a pinch point. There's a lot of eyeballs out here. It is super, super early, but that is the magic of a rising moon. Dang it. Look at that sucker. Here, he's coming this way. That doe is coming back out, I think. What an incredible hunt so far. Like, what the heck? I know, it's like I don't know when to open the window, you know? Yeah, it is. It's like, when do I open the window? I remember what these windows are like. Come on, dude. Come this way. Don't go around that way. There's a scrape right there. So if he doesn't hit it, he can go around the other way. Dang it, what was that all about? God dang, dude, he looks big, don't he? He does look real big. Well, Justin, we're one step closer. We are actually filming a big deer while hunting. Where's that doe feeding? Here comes the kicker buck back out. his little stint and now he wants to eat. Oh my God. You want to talk about some epic footage? When do I open it, dude? Not yet. I mean, when he's through, like these deer. Look at the color of that deer, dude. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. What do you think? Do I chance it? No. But how calm he is. Just let him be. Are you sure? Yeah. That wind looks like it is blowing decent. If he puts his head in the scrape, should I? I think it's still kind of risky. That other deer's already way up there. Okay. Depends on how quartered towards he is. If he starts messing around with the scrape, I should open it. Just wait, hold on. Come on, hold still. Not yet. No. Not yet. Not yet. Wait. Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. Now. Not yet. Slow, slow. Hold on. Close the window. It's not open. Keep it closed. See how it feels. Yeah. Plenty of time. I should open the window. Ain't going that corner again. Hit him low. Did he get in there? It was center mass, but it was low. was low, but all it needs is this much down there. Dang it. You want to talk about a hunt? I mean, that'll never happen again, that a deer reads the script like that. These winds are coming off of a big bluff in front of us, and when we were walking in here, they're doing weird things. And so we were sitting here with this box, like tight, we can see the corn stalks doing different things, and all these deer are right here, and he comes down and he's 20 yards, and he's docile, you can see it, he's docile, and he goes through into the corn, and the rest of them stop and feed, and what does he do? He just continues on away, and then he's never broadside. He comes back down here, and we're trying to play the game of keep the window down, put it up. We can't see deer over here, and he was at 44 yards, and I shot. I think it was center mass. It just depends on how low exactly it was. I mean, that was an unbelievable hunt. Unbelievable hunt. We will never forget that, Justin. I mean, unbelievable. That is our friend. Live for the rising moon in October. Alright, so we're just going to go over here and grab this arrow. Hopefully it'll confirm what we think, which is liver, guts, something like that. And then we're going to, instead of going out the way we came in, because he went that way, probably not, but there could be a chance he ended up over there. We're going to shoot out this corner and take a big hike back to the truck. Oh, here we go. I don't know what to think from that. Alright, so the arrow, it's kind of what you'd expect for where we thought we hit him, where I thought I hit him. It's just got, if it wasn't for one fletching, that one fletching looks like it's got, gut, stomach matter, intestines, something like that. So we're obviously pulling out. We literally went the opposite way, as far in the opposite way as possible, cut through the woods. And we're back here at the truck, left our e-bikes at the front where we accessed it. So we're gonna go back, watch the footage in slow-mo and just kind of verify where we think it hit him. Justin's thinking from the footage that it's about 5 inches high center mass, and I think it's about 3, maybe 2. So hopefully, that'll be enough as to where I think it is. So we're gonna give him overnight and probably even into the day tomorrow. We generally try and get as close to 24 hours or something like this as possible. But fingers crossed. Unbelievable hunt.
I think I got something there.
I
almost don't see how it
couldn't.
unless
I did
not
that
what
last
appears.
night and I thought I smelled it. And then I did it today and I didn't think I could, but it's probably because.
It's dried. Girl.
Amazing.
Did some kind of maneuvers on us out of this bedding area.
This one's going to leave a lot of questions unanswered. You know, whether we should open the window as he was approaching that tree koi, if that would have worked out, or, you know, if he would have kept coming down and feeding and getting broadside, or if he would have just walked down to the blind and down the trail to the left and never gave me a shot. But it just not good. John thinks that this deer is still gonna die if he's not already, and you know, we might still find him grid searching or coming back later and just searching with the dog. But it is definitely a tough break. Tough break. All right, so after we tracked the deer the first time I hit him with Tracker John, the next day we came and grid searched some areas that we didn't look, and we found some bloody beds, but we still made the decision to just wait a few days and see what the cameras told us. Well, the cameras told us that he was all over the place, resuming big buck natural business as if nothing was wrong. He's hitting scrapes, he was all over the place. So he was on he was coming off of a cornfield north of the, you know, down here where I hit him, about a half a mile. And in the morning he was coming off that corn and working some scrapes down a cut bean edge. And we figured he probably bedded in this draw and thought there was a good chance he was gonna head to the corn again that night. So I got set up kind of trying to catch him going to that corn. And wouldn't you know it, I heard a stick break behind me and there was a doe. And then I heard a stick break even further behind me, and I looked almost straight behind my back, and he was coming, and I just got my bow and got turned around and got in an awkward position. He went through my lane before I could get my eye in the peep, and it wasn't very far shot. And then he got behind like a hedge top, and I couldn't see anything really. And I dropped down to my knees, and there was one little hole. And it's one of those deals where he probably, you know, might not have taken that shot, but had this deer that, you know, we were thinking was wounded and probably going to get sick from it. And I was just trying to get another arrow in him. So I made a quick decision to try and shoot through that hole. I heard it hit something. I saw my arrow kick, and my gut feeling was that it hit him in the same exact spot that the original shot hit. And I was like, oh my God, couldn't believe it. Well, then he kind of acted gut shot, you know, and he went out and hooked back into the woods and stopped and did the tail flicker and walked off. And my arrow ended up being covered with a light colored blood. And I shot him that time with a much bigger broadhead. So I thought, well, and everybody thought, well, if that first arrow had gone in the blade orientation was vertical, that might have been enough to get him on the first shot. Well, you know, knowing that I shot a bigger broadhead and that orientation could have been better, you know, I was still optimistic. But then we tracked him the next day, jumped him, didn't appear even hurt, decided to watch the cameras again. It was kind of a warm stretch. We didn't have pictures of him for a few days, and then boom, when he came back, he was just all over the cameras again. So we had some south winds. I hunted the box one night, and that night he actually came out of the same corner that me and Justin filmed him out of the first time that I hit him. And I saw him come out of there last light, and he was down there, and it got past legal shooting light, and I watched him come up this clover and stay on this natural high spot. And then he turned and he went through the gap in front of me at 15 yards again for a second time. But this time it was past legal shooting light. And so we had a bunch of south winds coming, and I said, well, he obviously likes something. I've seen this a lot. He likes something about feeding on the high spot in this food source. And there's a couple scrapes over here. Like I watched him go to this scrape, and that's where the ditch is. If you remember from the development videos, there's a huge ditch that goes down to the bottom, and it comes up and it pinches at our woven wire fence into like a 15-foot opening. And because of that concentration of scent, there's a huge scrape right there. So this spot was screaming for a stand for south winds. So what I do when I came in here and hunt these south winds is I'd come in right across the corn on my bike and shoot right across the clover, and then I'd shoot right to the stand, and then I'd walk my bike down the hill most of the way, at least so I was far enough down to where they couldn't hear me up here in the dark. And that way when I'd hunt, I'd get down and then I'd just go right off the backside and take my bike down to a road and shoot out the back. So I'd literally do a big loop, ingress and egress in the farm. And I hunted this farm a few times, or this stand a few times to the south, and then the other Noviks down there a few times to the south, and I never saw them. Then last week we got this warm weather, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna hunt. It's 80 degrees, super low pressure, dark moon. Well, he shows up in daylight over here, basically coming through that south food plot and into the cut corn the first day. And then the next warm day, he was in the evening in daylight over in the funnel water hole in the southeast corner of this field that we had set up. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So the third day I decided to hunt. It was warm, didn't see him, of course. Which brings us to last night. All right, so I've been round and round and round again with this deer. Everything happened really fast. He came out to my right here, and he came right through the pinch. This is in the south, east corner of this cornfield. I got my back up against the wall, and I was had just enough room out of the window to shoot, and I shot. And honestly, kind of like the last two, I don't even know where I hit the deer. I'm not shooting luminox or anything like that. So then I get down, I come over here. I thought it was a good shot. It was only 23 yards, but I thought that before. So anyway, I come down, I'm looking for blood, looking for my arrow. I am the worst blood trailer in the history of blood trailing. I can't see blood, but I couldn't find my arrow. So I went over to where he went into the corn trail, and I found some blood, but it didn't look like a lot to me. Alex, the log dog / bloodhound dog, came over and just was like, blood, 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 blood. There's a lot of blood. And we followed it around the corner, and he didn't even make it out of the cornfield. I could see a dark body, and I said, let's back up and get the camera and get our stuff. So we're gonna go down here and check it out. I was just telling these guys earlier I had a love-hate with November 1st, so I might have to change that to a love now. I'm gonna spend more time trailing this deer than hunting him. There's the old holes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It wasn't a very big exit hole either.
No.
That's crazy. The saga is over. Oh. You're like, have you ever done this before? All right, so it's November 1st. Finally caught up with this dude. If you've been following the story, it's been pretty unbelievable. I made a bad shot earlier in the year, and then another one, and finally caught up with him today. He's been here all along, came right back home. And the crazy thing is, I was hunting when it was pretty good weather, and the only nights he showed up was when it was 80 degrees in daylight. So just stayed after him, and here he came tonight. 23 yards, finally made its mark on the developed farm here. I'd say it worked out pretty well. He funneled right around the tip of that corn, and couldn't be happier. Unbelievable. So I was sitting there last night, and I happened to look out the back right corner because I kept wanting to look down the trail that goes into our funnel back there. And I looked back and I saw several deer, like they were chasing a doe around, but I didn't see him. So anyway, I'm sitting there a little longer, and out comes I think it was a doe, kind of right around the corner of this little pinch of this corn. And then she kept looking back, so I'm like, huh, she must be looking at one of those other deer. And I kind of opened that curtain up there, And I looked, and he was standing right here. He was just standing here, just looking. And if you remember, this is that trail that we sprayed. I put some pink flags where I wanted it, and I think Sean was up here spraying in the area, and he stopped by and just misted the trail along those flags to make a nice path of least resistance. So anyway, he apparently took that and came in right here. And then if you remember in one of the videos, we talked about, you know, obviously this was our segmented electric fence. We electric fenced this couple acres anyway. So to make it easier on managing the fence and putting it back up in the future and stuff, we just segment it and just take off the section that we want and use it to funnel. And then also this corn, this little strip of corn we left standing was for cover to get out of that box, which we've done and been successful several times. But it was also to kind of just naturally enhance this funnel, you know, and just bring them a little bit closer to the blind rather than cutting through here. And he did that. So obviously you saw in the video series setting this farm up or whatever, the last video we mowed corn in here, and I told you about how I kind of move that mower up and down so that some of the cobs don't bust open. And what I did was I came in here again since then, and I just mowed a couple of strips further back into the corn, but I kept my corners or my pinch points intact and just kind of went into the corn a little bit. And but one thing I did this time that I think I'm going to start doing in the future is, before I even started mowing that, I remowed the original area, and it was amazing how much corn it opened up from those cobs that, you know, cobs like this one, or it's still full of corn and hasn't been touched. And I could probably go through and mow it again. And I think, you know, I like doing that because as I mow that corn, they're just gonna go to the easy pickings, and this is just gonna lay there and lay there and lay there, and I'm gonna have to continue to keep mowing my corn. So this is a way of keeping them in bow range and you know, really getting the most out of that corn and conserving what you have standing for the late season. So I think I probably will do that again in the future. So this is one of the old original jury boxes that was here on this farm, and she's still scent free. It's pretty fun to hunt up in there. As you can see, our switchgrass planting it's got a lot of switchgrass, but it's also full of foxtail, which I'm okay with this year because I know that switch is gonna look amazing in the future. But this foxtail actually gave us a lot more cover than the first year switch would have alone. And it worked like a charm. I mean, our first hunt where I hit the deer, we were able, you know, to get in good, and several hunts. I mean, I hunted this farm a lot, and I never made any impact on this deer. When I was hunting with south winds along that wood line in the tree stands, I'd fly in here on my bike right through the center of all the food with my wind hitting the tree stand basically. And then I'd walk my stand halfway down the hill. And then when I'd leave, I'd go down the hill to the trail and back out the farm. So I'd make a huge loop through here, and it worked out really good. I wrapped this thing in burlap so I could get down. I hunted this box one other night a few nights ago, and it worked out awesome. There was deer all out in here, and I was able to get down with a north wind and get right out of the box, kind of crouch down and shoot right out of here. And I checked my phone when I got back to my bike there, and all these deer were still out here. So it worked really well. And when I came in here yesterday, so we had these winds that were showing like east. So east would have been blowing at the gap where I would have expected to almost see him. But when I got back here and checked I was gonna sit in that black box over there. But when I got back here, I was kind of looking at it. It felt more northerly and westerly. And I'm like, you know what? By prime time, these winds are gonna be all over the place. Both of these things are scent free, but the reason I chose this box last night was because that one has a little bit of a low spot that goes to a ditch, and I could see my air there moving that way where I needed to open the window and shoot to. This one here, I could see the air going towards the big bottom, and I also thought, even if the air is not moving at all, at least this one is higher, and I probably have a little bit more chance or time of it getting, you know, down to the deer or whatever. So I ended up to this blind because I thought I just had more odds of shooting an area that he might come, which was awesome that he did come from there. And I also found out last night that camera has been dead for 3 days. Who knows, he might have been doing it the last couple nights, I don't know. But it all worked out super well in the old jury box. So yeah, I was just kind of camped out here and happened to peek over here and saw a few deer running around in there chasing. And next thing I know, I saw that deer pop out of the corner of this window and got up. And I looked right here out of this one, and I saw him standing right there. And so then I kind of got, I had a camera set up right here, which I knew that wasn't going to happen because I was not messing around with that. And so getting this big joker down, and I had the bow in my knees, and luckily I was able to get it down. And when I came to full draw, I was kind of crouched, and I was worried about my stabilizer because I was at such an angle. I was like, my back was against the wall, and it was kind of like this. I couldn't see where my limbs were hitting and stuff. So, but I got lucky and didn't do the old classic explode my bow against the blind. That would have been a bad deal. Another thing I would have had to hear about for the rest of my life from my friends on this deer. So that was it, right there, right at the corner of the corn. All right, so our first season here on the developed farm has been awesome. Not much I'd change yet. Looking forward to seeing all the grasses, flourish next year, and all the miscanthus you can see start really coming on. And we got another big mature deer that was here in the summer that we're hoping shows back up. And who knows what else might show up. There's lots of bully bucks in the neighborhood, and might be able to try and get one of them killed on video too. So just loving having a farm that I get to keep and is my farm, and I can finally hunt one of these farms that we set up and see how fun and efficient it hunts.
So obviously we did this series that, kind of follows this over-the-top developed farm versus like my undeveloped lease. And I think one of the things that was very evident with this is how powerful your trail cam intel becomes on a fully developed farm. We recently put out the update video on my lease, and as you can see, like, we're just kind of moving cameras around. We're still trying to figure out some things. We're waiting for one to get running around a little bit more, but here, like, when this deer came back in here and he was here, like, he was on multiple cameras, and by taking all that information, you can kind of get an idea of where he's coming from, where he's going. And so, like, that evening that I first hit the deer, I had a good feeling that he was bedded, to the east. And sure enough, he came right up out of the road in the back of the clover. And that proved to be true like 2 more times in a row. Each time I'd get a picture of him going through that gap from the corn to the green, after midnight, he'd be bedded over on that side of the farm. So I was able to use that information to kind of like assemble a plan of what part of the farm I was going to hunt. And even as, the hunt unfolded last night, he had tended to be on this end of the farm. I had, every time he came in here, I'd have pictures of him. So kind of gave me an idea of what part of the farm to hunt. So big takeaway is that intel on a fully developed farm is just so much more powerful to help you make decisions on where to hunt and stuff like that.
So I just got to watch the drone screen. Chris was doing some videoing, and just seeing this place come together from an aerial standpoint, and basically, like my vision of originally on Onyx, just seeing it in the exact same picture but in real life on that screen, super pumped to have a farm of my own that I'm keeping, and this is my place to do all this fun stuff. And a lot of my farms over the years, by the time they look like this, they're sold. They're years into it. And so I don't get to hunt a lot of stuff like this. Maybe some of the beginning stages of, developed farms, but this just shows you what is possible on a farm. This is just an 8-acre hayfield. So basically this field was a canvas, to do art on or whatever. Every hunter you give this field to is gonna lay it out differently. There's no right or wrong way of doing it, but all these strategies, corn and clovers and grasses and miscanthus and box blinds, it's just paint to make a piece of art with. And there's a gazillion combinations of what you can do. So the foundations of hunting, all the thought processes you've seen on our lease video, where we can't do this manipulation, thinking like a deer, it's all reverse engineered from that. And, you know, just because you throw a bunch of food out here doesn't mean it's going to work. There's got to be strategy behind it. And that's what the Whitetail Group is all about. You know, we do consults to help people set up their farms like this. And we also, we buy farms and we sell them. Some are fully developed, some are, you know, just beginning to be developed, and some are not developed. The thing is, every person, you know, we have people that want us to find them a farm, and then once we do, we work with them to come up with a game plan, because some people, they might just be late muzzleloader hunting in Iowa, so it's a completely different strategy than what we did here. So there's no one size fits all, but if you guys would like help or like to buy a farm and design it and get it set up like this, you know, just reach out to us, because this is what we love to do, and love to help you make your farm look like a deer paradise like this one.